Hi everyone, and welcome back to A Bar Above. So this week we are going to take a look at egg white cocktails again, but this time we're going to be focusing on using dehydrated egg whites in cocktails, how to do it, and how they compare against regular egg whites. So stay tuned. So egg white cocktails have regained their popularity in the last couple of years, and you're seeing them all over cocktail menus and in cocktail bars. And they're really tasty. If you haven't had one, you should definitely try one. But anytime you have a conversation about raw eggs in cocktails, there's always that hesitation about salmonella poisoning. And even though the risks are very, very low, it is still a risk. So there's been a couple conversations about other ingredients that you can use in place of fresh egg whites to use in cocktails to have the same kind of effect. And there are definitely a couple. Another one is pasteurized egg whites. You can buy them in like a milk carton, and I've used those in the past. Don't particularly care for them myself, but it is an option. Now the other option that I've never tried, and I'm really excited to do so today, is egg white powder. So this is literally egg whites that have had the water removed from them, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So in doing this video post, I came across one website that has a lot of really good information as far as egg white in cocktails, and that was Darcy O'Neill's Art of the Drink. Fantastic website. And he was also the gentleman that wrote Fix the Pump. So he's got a lot of knowledge, and he comes from a very scientific background, which I really enjoy. So what he outlined is that when you're using egg white powder, you should hydrate them again because it literally is just a powder. So you need to add the water back into it, and it's a ratio of 2 teaspoons of egg white powder to 1 ounce of water. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my 1 ounce of water now and get that process started. And I'm using warm water just so that it will dissolve. So as you can see, the egg whites don't really dissolve readily in the water. So I'm just going to give it a good stir here. And I'm going to let it sit for a couple of minutes just to really absorb all that water in there. So after a couple of minutes, those kind of clumps that we noticed in the very beginning dissolve away, and it rehydrates into what looks like normal egg whites. There's a bit of an odd smell to it, kind of a sulfury smell, but not overpowering. A little bit stronger than just regular egg whites. So now that we have the egg whites nice and hydrated, they're ready for use in a cocktail. So let's go ahead and make a couple of different cocktails and see how it kind of stacks up against a fresh egg white. And for this, I'm just going to do a whiskey sour, one of my favorite cocktails. So I'm going to go ahead and start that now. So I'm actually making 3 because there was something I've always wondered and rumors I've heard in the bar business. So we're going to test out one more cocktail at the same time. So now for the rumor that I've heard. So I've heard that there's one restaurant in particular in San Francisco that makes their own sour for cocktails, and one of the things they incorporate is egg whites into their sour mix. And what this accomplishes is any cocktail that is made with that sour mix comes out with a nice little tiny egg white head across the top of it. Very subtle, it's not overpowering like a normal egg white cocktail is, but it's a gorgeous presentation piece, and it's something that I've noticed every once in a while that I've been there. So I'm going to try it out. I've actually made a house sour, and I've incorporated the 2 teaspoons of egg whites into it, and I'm going to see if it actually holds up and accomplishes the same thing in this cocktail. So now just kind of quickly go through the 3 cocktails. The very first one here, the classic whiskey sour with a fresh egg white, is exactly what I'm used to. I've had it many different times, and that's probably what my brain expects when I order a whiskey sour. Now I will say that the egg white powder cocktail that was rehydrated is a really good substitute for it. I wouldn't be able to taste the difference unless they were side by side. This is a great alternative, And the flavors are great. The smell is not off at all, and it's a great whiskey sour. Now, I will say with this last one, the one where I rehydrated the egg whites in simple syrup, I would definitely steer clear of. It didn't develop the head that I was expecting, and when I rehydrated the egg whites, it actually pulled the water out of the simple syrup to rehydrate itself, and what ended up happening is it became very, very dense in the cocktail itself. And not only that, since the water wasn't there to kind of balance the whole cocktail out, everything else kind of dominated, so the whiskey kind of really made its presence known, and the lemon juice really dominated the cocktail, so it's a bit too rich across the board. So I'm definitely going to steer clear from that from this point on. So the take-home message with egg white powder is it is a great alternative to fresh egg whites. It is a little bit more expensive, but if you're at all worried about any kind of health risks, it's a really good alternative to using egg whites in cocktails. So we'll have some more videos in the future, but until then, as always, I hope everyone has a great shift, and cheers. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Google+, or visit us at abarabove.com.